Hello everyone, welcome to, this different style of video. So, basically what we have here is a thing that I've invested in lately. It's basically it's a rear wheel trainer, and effectively it allows me to plug and play into this program called Zwift, in which I can hook myself up to it, and everything I do on the bike is kind of reflected on this screen, and you'll kind of see that I've got projected. In the top left hand corner you'll see wattage, which is power, so it's kind of like, how I'm going in terms of how this tracks with, my speed and everything else, and how that positions me. Because what we have here is a race where I'm racing against five other people. Actually six, but one of them doesn't actually turn up to the race, so technically five other people. And so I want to kind of take you through this video and explain a little bit about the process, what happened, what I thought about it, and you can kind of see if this might be something you're interested in, or kind of what I learnt from this race. It's kind of funny because even though it's like a race, it kind of almost feels like when I used to play like video games, when I play with my friends, like we would play stuff like Halo, Call of Duty online. It almost felt like that, really. And effectively this whole race takes me about 40 minutes, spoiler alert. But effectively I just clipped this up to about 15 minutes, just to kind of give us a little bit, so we're kind of not wasting your time as much, but also I figured I can really only maybe speak for 5-10 minutes, maybe a little bit more, so you can kind of see what's going on. Kind of not to overwhelm and take too much time take too much of your time today, guys, and just to see what we think with this type of video, me kind of doing something and then commentating over the top of it, because without it I didn't really have any music going, so it'd just be literally the sound of pedals for 15 minutes. So I thought it'd be a little bit more fun if I interject with my voice and kind of share what my thoughts about this were, would I recommend it, and kind of how I found the experience overall. So first things first, there was a race that I was intending to be part of earlier in that day, but I kind of didn't get up in time for that. So of course I missed that race, so I kind of had to scatter to find the next one. So the thing with Zwift is, in this program, which is where you race against other people on the bike, and you can also run against other people around the world, there are effectively 5 categories of race that you can do in terms of, let's say there's A grade or first grade, in which case you are obviously the fastest of the fast, and you are absolutely going to crush it. And then you have all the way the 5th grade, which is kind of like more beginner friendly, and then obviously everything is between that, and staggered at various levels and whatnot. So I kind of decided based on my experience and where I thought I would generally sit, because it kind of gives you like a bit of a guide in terms of how much watts you can maintain on average for a certain amount of time. Gave me a sense to say, well, I think I'm going to be more in the middle. So I decided to sign up for C grade, thinking I might be able to do okay and keep up with the bunch. But as you can see at this point in the video, I am already in last place and I don't come back, which is okay because I still used it as an opportunity to push myself for this 40 minutes as best I could to get a good workout and just feel amazing. So it was kind of what I was expecting for the first time doing this. And also you note that where this number is in the blue box, there's a little symbol next to it. Well, apparently those little things are items that you can kind of use. If you think of Mario Kart, when you go past a block, you can, press a button and then that does something. I think these things are meant to do a similar thing. But seeing as my laptop was connected to the projector and I don't have the special inbuilt controls for like Zwift to enable this, it just kind of, was there, and the only thing that could make a difference was me simply pedaling my legs. So I decided to focus on that instead, as we can see. Now, for the whole video, the angle doesn't change. Sorry, I'll potentially work on making this a little bit more, exciting, so we don't really stare at my butt the whole time. But I kind of thought it was cool in terms of how the bike was framed. But of course, you can't actually see my avatar on the screen. You can just kind of see that I'm moving, using a towel, doing a couple things, but you kind of got no sense of how far into the race I am, apart from kind of what I'm commentating. But as we can see in the bottom, there's these like spikes of red, green, that kind of indicate your power. And the more we get across it, the more we can see, like as it goes from left to right, kind of how far progressed you are in the race. Because that's, I think, taking the about like 40-minute type of time and tracking it out. So as you can see at this point, we're, I think, quite through the race already. We are probably over the halfway point, I suspect. So we're getting there. Now, I think, so the thing is, what I realised now that I should have done, this is my first race, was potentially really start at the lowest grade, E grade, A, B, C, D, yep, E grade, and just kind of see how I would go from there, or maybe even D grade. It might have been, I think, quite presumptuous of me to go for the C grade, thinking that I would be able to keep up with these fellas throughout the entirety of it, because these guys are doing pretty good numbers. And of course, I am a complete noob because this is my first race, and of course I get dropped and I can't keep up with everyone else. So that sucks. But the cool thing about this race was, like, you can kind of see, if we look all the way in the top right corner, you'll see this like red, orange, like number kind of changing. That's actually indicative of the gradient on this course, because it's like a lapped course circuit, and it goes up a hill. So that actually reflects and then changes the resistance on the trainer, which is actually insane if we think of that. So then obviously the inverse is true. So when I am going down said hill, mountain, or not hill, track, it simulates an ease of resistance, which allows me to, go quicker on the bike, and it's my virtual avatar to go quicker, saying, I'm doing X kilometers faster, so like 30. Then obviously going up, I'm going more like, maybe 12, 13 per hour. So it's like really cool to see how that reflects in that situation. So what else can I think of that I kind of learnt from this? I think for me, probably if I could like reflect on this again, so we'll start in the lower grade. And I think probably being more, maybe consistent with my power. So I'm kind of a little bit all over the place. And I guess maybe it was hard because at this point it was just me racing by myself. And like I'm moving around quite a lot in terms of my like upper body. So maybe I could have like had a more solid position on the bike, so I wasn't really messing around a lot. And I mean that's like kind of what I'm thinking. Or like do a little bit more research into how to start this, because I mean prior to this I'd done 2 Zwift ramp tests. I haven't really done a ride, so this is technically the longest time spent on Zwift. And maybe I also could have filled another water bottle. What I definitely realised at this point, because we're getting really close towards the end, and you can't really see that I'm bathed in sweat, but you will at the end, I really should have had a fan in the front of me, so kind of more closer to the wall where that projector was. I've got a ground fan that I can tilt up. If I had that going, I would have felt a lot better, because I didn't realise, obviously when I cycle really hard outdoors, there's this little thing called the wind, and that kind of keeps you cool and, keeps you from like overheating a lot. So that's why you kind of see in this video, I've just literally got my bib shorts and a like running single underneath, which kind of is a bit baggy, so it doesn't look the coolest. Sorry guys, I will invest in an undershirt for cycling in the future. But just for now, I had to make do with what I had. We're zooming along here, aren't we? So that's kind of cool. So there's the element of having another water bottle, potentially just filled with water. That one I had was filled with a bit of sugar and electrolyte mix to kind of, give me some extra energy as I was going through this. Potentially invest in Zwift controls so I can use the items, although in this case it's completely useless because I think at this point everyone has almost finished the race because they're so far ahead of me, which kind of sucks, but what do you do? You've got to learn these things. But I mean, interestingly, like as a kid, if I have to reflect on doing this now as an adult, being about 28 versus me doing this as a kid I would have kind of cracked the shits at doing this. Got upset for the fact that I was last place. Might have been tempted to give up, because what's the point? But see here, I had like more of the fortitude and resolve to say, well, this is the first time I'm doing it. I thought really these people would be maybe more my level, or I would be able to keep up with them. Full-hearted of me, perhaps. So I guess the fact that that wasn't the case, or that I could adjust and understand that actually there's still quite a lot of room for me, and I'm quite beginning of this online racing journey, was kind of cool, because I can kind of look back on this progress over time and realise that there's actually quite a lot of gain and growth to be made, which is actually something that will seek to inspire more of you, and be more honest in the fact that I did my first race and I absolutely tanked. I came last. But through still having the respect for myself, push myself as much as I could in this 40 minutes to really see where I could take it, was something that meant that actually it's all going to be worth something. And that at the end we can see I was actually quite happy. We did a various breakdown of my power that I held for a certain amount of time, the 1 minute. So I think it goes 30-second interval, 1 minute, 5 minutes, then 20 minutes, and maybe the average of the race, which you'll see at the end screen. So that was kind of really cool to have that kind of visually to see, well, actually, here's what I did. So the good thing about doing races or something like this, or being with others in this sense of competition, I must say my heart was going pretty quick in this, because I was a bit nervous. It really helps you to dig deep and kind of push for something. Now, I feel admittedly, if I was actually in a situation where I was probably closer to people when we were overtaking each other and I was keeping up, maybe I would have made more progress or been able to show some slightly more impressive numbers. But that's something to bear in mind for next time, and kind of just check the ego and kind of maybe start at the bottom. But I kind of didn't also want to start at the bottom, because I hear a lot of people kind of sandbag in the sense that they're really good, but they'll just go in the lower race divisions to win and make themselves feel better. So I didn't kind of want to do that for you guys, just in case I'll just accidentally blitz everyone else. And I'm not saying I'm fantastic, blitz everyone else in E grade. And then it's just kind of me out the front for the whole time, which is probably going to be a bit boring. I mean, this is boring in itself because I'm at the back, so thank goodness I had the thought to record a little bit, talk what I thought of this. So, would I do this again? Yes. Interestingly enough, coming last didn't actually deter me from wanting to do this again. It's just a question of obviously timing and making sure I can partake in one of these races. And the cool thing about Zwift and how structured it is it tells you every day if there's a race on, what time, and you can actually pre-book to be in it. And it tells you local time for you when you need to be on it, because obviously this is a program which have many people around the world. So to have for the fact that you can say that because I'm in this place, it calibrates to say, okay, your race with this group will start at this time, so okay, I need to be up, get it all set up, ready to rock and roll. I can have the bike set up the night before, I kind of think set it up in the morning. So all these little things add up to kind of see, to get you more prepared and more in the zone, and probably more able to focus before the actual kickoff, spin-off of the actual race takes place. So we have the experience, the downhill, the items, me trying to push myself, and I think here we had to go up the mountain or ascend. It was actually a really cool ending because it showed a different view. It's kind of the rest repeated. So this was kind of really nice to kind of see that culminating, and you'll see my power going up quite a lot. Oh, it goes down again. And I guess probably the smoothness and getting used to kind of using the trainer, because I'm not perfect at this, but I think I'm starting to get the hang of it, but I think it's going to take a bit more time. So I do appreciate you guys joining me for this. Let me know what you think. If you like this style of video, happy to do more of them, to just kind of try something like this, commentate what I thought about it, break it up a little bit, kind of show you how I felt about it, because effectively this is kind of me showing you literally how to conquer the virtual online mountain. And I guess another thing that I resonate with, I've always talked about when people meet me, they say well, Salvatore, what if you were to race people in real life on the bike? And to that I say, well, that's a valid point. But the thing about that is, because these types of races are generally done in a circuit, which is laps and stuff and flat and pretty quick. So between the speed of like say 30 to 50 k's at the final sprint, and we all clad in thin pieces of lycra with very flexy frames. If you actually to fall or have a crash, you will more or less break your collarbone. I've heard situations of people that have actually lost their sight from such a terrible crash and just be out of commission. So I don't really advise against doing something like that, especially if you're new to cycling and like one of the first experiences you have in the race is a big crash. I think this is something a bit more safer, beneficial, and just a cool way to test yourself. Oh my gosh, look at this guy. In an environment that's a lot more safer. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to get to with this. Look at this guy. Oh, so of course, thank you for joining. Conquer Indoor Mountains, Conquer Life. See you next time.
First Zwift race ever, came in last, but I feel good.